Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.
Wendy's new Cajun chicken sandwich. So spicy, it's pica.
You or someone you know looking for a job? Well, Sentinel Security is hiring, and they're offering starting pay between $10 to $15 an hour. And they'll train you too. Email them today that you're interested at sentinelsolutionsguam@gmail.com. Sentinel Security, Guam's most reliable security solution for your home and your business. Doesn't this look great? Say hello to the coolest party in your hands. Cold Stone Guam's birthday cake Oreo cookie ice cream taco. They took everything you love. Birthday cake Oreo cookie ice cream, rainbow sprinkles, rich chocolate, and a crispy waffle taco shell, and turned it into the ultimate summertime celebration. This signature creation won't be around forever, so grab yours while it lasts. Visit Cold Stone at their GPO or Micronesia Mall locations today. Cold Stone Creamery, the ultimate ice cream experience.
Brought to you by 76 Circle K Guam.
Good evening, my dear friends. It is 5:16 p.m. on Monday, July 14, 2025. Happy 46th birthday to Gerald Sablan Lujan, one of my best gay friends. Hey, girl, we're old together. We survived all those years of all those stupid things. How are you all doing? My name is Troy Torres, and thank you so much for joining me. And before I forget, I always forget to do this. I just want to thank you all. Wherever I go, and whether it's in Guam or in Saipan, actually, like wherever I go, church, the bank, Payless, Happy Mart. I don't really go to that many places, but wherever I go, I run into you, and and the messages that you send to me, and also the comments that you make. I'm so humbled by the support that you give to Kandit, and I don't say that enough. And so thank you. Politics makes strange bedfellows. Oh, thank you, Mikael. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Politics makes strange bedfellows. And, as I survey the land, right? I used to be in politics. I used to be in the Calvo administration, and before that in the Camacho administration. And I'll tell you this, as much as I respect and admire both those men, and I formed lifelong friendships with people in both administrations, I will never, ever do that again. I will never go back to politics, because when I look back at those times and the excuses that we made for our bad behavior at times, and when I look at what's going on now, and I survey what's been happening ever since the indictments in the largest political corruption case in the history of our island, and I see the moral equivocation coming from the politicos, and I see the political maneuvering that's happening and the undercurrents that are taking place, and all I can do is shake my head and be disgusted by the behavior of some, and then realize that that was my behavior back in the day as well, and I do not ever want to be disgusting like that ever again. Ever. I never want to sell my soul out for politics, because I'll tell you this much. With what the federal government has brought, we should all be asking questions. We should all be wondering what the heck. We should all be very much concerned about the running of the government from the administration, and an administration that refuses to answer questions, refuses to be transparent, refuses to answer the critical things that Josh Tenorio should be answering. Instead, what I'm seeing from those of you who are just seeing these things with clear eyes and who are not political, you are asking the right questions. You are making the right comments, sometimes a little seedy, sometimes a little much, but at least you're on the right track. And then I see trolls coming out, or I see people starting to make excuses for the lieutenant governor, and I'm thinking, are we ever going to get past this political BS? Are we ever going to be an island that values respect, that values truth and honesty? Because if all we do is run back to these same politicians and expect them to be doing something for us and to defend these moral outrages, we're never going to get to that place. So I am so grateful to see so many of you outraged at what's going on and asking the right questions. Thank you so very much for restoring my faith in this island. And among the questions that haven't been answered from Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio and from Adelup from day one, from June 27th, so the indictments happened on June 25. They were sealed up. Adelup knew about it. Adelup has known about this since 2022, according to reputable sources. Adelup further knew about the raids on August 19, when the raids happened, August 19, 2024. Said nothing. Adelup knew when the indictments happened on June 25. Said nothing. Then June 27 comes along, and we ask Adelup, when did you know? And instead what we get is a video from Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio. And I'm going to play you a 10-second excerpt from this video that is relevant to our discussion today. Here is the "I had no knowledge," or the Shaggy song, "It wasn't me," line from Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio in his prepared video of June 27, 2025, 2 days after the indictments actually happened.
I had no knowledge of the events alleged in the indictment. I was not aware of the actions that have led to these charges, and I want to make it clear that I am not involved.
All right. So that's Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio on June 27, 2025, when the media is pressing, when did the governor and the lieutenant governor know about the federal investigation? And so as part of that prepared statement, he says, I was not aware of the actions alleged in the indictment. And it's very carefully worded, but it was supposedly in response to when did they know about the investigation. The context of this is that was the answer that Adelup gave to the media's question, when did they know about the investigation? And so they carefully worded this to say, I was not aware of the actions alleged in the indictment, making it sound like he wasn't aware of the investigation until everybody else found out, which is a lie. And so 7 days later, and you got to hand it to Joe Titano, a reporter at the Pacific Daily News. And I hope it's okay with them that I'm playing their video. Full credit, I put up their Joe Titano's name, their caption, and everything. This is a video interview that Joe Taitano, a great journalist over at the Pacific Daily News, managed to get. He caught up with the lieutenant governor and he just dogged him and asked him questions, and then his story changed just 7 days later. So here is Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio in a 5-minute interview after being dogged by Joe Taitano at an event.
The allegations that were made in the indictment, the investigation itself, or the case that came forward, did you know anything about what was alleged or the ongoing investigation before it came out and was put in court?
At the time of the allegations, I was not aware of any wrongdoing. And with regards to investigations, I would just say that it's very inappropriate to comment about investigations. For me, for sure, coming as an employee of the court before, you know that investigations shouldn't be undermined. Authorities have authority, and I would expect that anybody within the government of Guam that is approached for information will cooperate and make sure that they do their job. Well, you know, I would just say that I did hear that there was investigations. I was assured that there was no wrongdoing, and of course advised family members to seek counsel. And I did not discuss anything about the investigation with them. I did know when authorities approached family members, and I told them that they should get counsel. I did not discuss anything, and also I would say that it would be inappropriate to discuss the investigation with anybody. You know, this is a very important situation here, and I would just say that it's not my intention for my presence or any activity that I would be doing to be misunderstood.
Was Adeline or the governor aware that this was going on prior to becoming public?
I would say that we don't involve ourselves in any investigative matters. I did not have any knowledge about the specifics of any information or requests for information. Those are reserved for people and those authorities, and I'm not involved in that, and I would not be involved in it.
How is the administration handling the fact that you have 4 staffers who are indicted or high-profile federal investigations?
Let me say that
related to their job?
Everybody's entitled to due process. Everybody is entitled to a presumption of innocence. And all those that have been charged have to fight their case in the court of law. That's where facts and information are more important to be protected. That's the process, not here, not here.
Are there any steps being taken, to guard against any conflict of interest within Adeline?
Well, I think that when we're not involved, nor do we want to be misunderstood to be involved in anything that would compromise cases. You know, these are for authorities to handle, right? I mean, that's not our place. That's not our...
All right. You remember the last thing he said there was, we are not involved and we don't want to be involved with any part of these cases to compromise these cases, blah, blah, blah. We don't want to be involved. We are not involved. He's talking about the administration. But first, let's talk about how in 7 days, the story changed out of his own lips from, I was not aware, to, yeah, I was aware, but I just told them to go get lawyers and don't discuss it with me. Right out of his lips. And some people are actually saying we shouldn't be discussing this. We should not be trying to impugn the integrity of the lieutenant governor. We are not the ones impugning the integrity of the lieutenant governor. He did that himself in that 7-day split from one side of his mouth to the other side of his mouth. But more importantly, it's what he last said. We do not want to be involved. The reason that it's very important to understand when it is that the governor and the lieutenant governor knew about the investigation has more to do with the safety and security of the witnesses in this case, has more to do with the integrity of the federal investigation. And this is why, and this is something that we have been reporting since October 28 of last year. And I went back into our archives about when we started reporting on this. We started reporting about this in late September of last year, about this PUA fraud case. And as I was doing my research and I was going back, I was like, oh wow, we were really hitting this hard since September of last year. Well, anyway, on October 20, so the federal raids happened on August 19 of last year, okay? Very important date to remember in this chronology of events, and why when the governor and lieutenant governor knew is very important here. and probably why they have been so cagey about providing answers. So August 19, the raids happen. On October 28, Kandit reports that in early September, that we had received letters dated in early September from several of the victims of the PUA fraud case. Now, the victims in this case it's sort of like a wide range, right? Some people, they were, all of them were not qualified. Most of them were registered as employees. They were falsified as employees under Comfort Cuts or Hot Dogging Company. Comfort Cuts owned and operated by Frankie Roslin and Charissa Tenorio. Hot Dogging owned and allegedly operated by Lieutenant Governor Josh Tenorio's boyfriend, Matt Tapastia. And so these are the victims in this case. And so according to the conspiracy alleged by the federal government and according to the witnesses, how the conspiracy worked is that these poor people would be entered into the system, into the PUA system. Some of them didn't even know that their applications were being sent in for them. They would manually get the checks. The checks would be manually taken from the distribution pile by members of the alleged conspiracy. They would be taken to the bank, allegedly by Charissa Tenorio and others, made to cash the checks, and then the majority of the proceeds, and sometimes all of the proceeds or all but $100 of the proceeds, would allegedly go to Charissa Tenorio. So that's how these people became victims of this scheme. That even though maybe they willingly sent in applications, or most of the time were not, they didn't even know that they were sending in applications. Even if they got $100, $20-some thousand, $10-some thousand, whatever was taken away. So they were victimized by this. And they were further victimized when in September, just days after the federal raids, the Guam Department of Labor, the PUA program office, on Guam Department of Labor letterhead, dated but unsigned, sent demand letters just to the victims of the PUA fraud conspiracy, just days after the federal raids, demanding that they repay the letters or that they face federal crimes. They face the federal justice system. So these people were scared out of their minds, and that's why they sent us the letters. And so we published that in October. And at the time, if you read the story that we outlined, we detail what happened, everything that David De La Sola told us and that Crystal Paco San Agustin told us, everything that Josh Tenorio didn't tell us about who knew when. And the reason that we're bringing this up tonight, so now you see why it's important to know, to understand, when did the Lieutenant Governor especially know about this investigation? Because then was he party to having his government, the government that he runs, intimidate the witnesses to a federal investigation with these demand letters? And I'll tell you this, just yesterday, a couple of these victims, they sent us new demand letters that they received from the Department of Labor. Days after the federal indictments, the administration is at it again. And if we don't continue to press these guys, if you do not continue to make your comments and to make your phone calls and to send your emails and to call the radio stations and, discuss your outrage at what's happening in our island, they're gonna get away with it. So please, by all means, continue. You don't have to be too mean. You don't. I mean, if you are, that's up to you, okay? But don't stop. Please don't stop. Because it's not about the politics. It's not about who's running for governor. It's about these victims. It's about the witnesses of this investigation. It's about the integrity of this case. Keep the pressure on Adelup. They have done far more to deserve it. For Kandit News, I'm Troy Torres. God bless you and good night.
We got that dynamite. We got that dynamite.
Find the perfect ride for you today with the New Year New Ride sales event at Guam Auto Spot. Get behind the wheel of the 2024 Outlander Sport, starting at just $22,995 or only $156 per paycheck. Visit GuamAutospot.com or call 671-478-AUTO.